Very, very good morning to all of you. My apologies for the delay in getting this Freedom of Information Update workshop out. I have been just tied up on the Tuesdays when I've wanted to do this. Let me just message someone to say I will call them later. Yeah, so let's get the work up. Let's get the work up. Morning, Julie. Morning, Sally Ann. Morning to all of you. We've got a small gathering of 20, just over 20 of you this morning. I enjoy the morning workshops, and if I'm sounding a bit hoarse, it's the remnants of a sore throat. I'm actually fine, as in the world of where I come from. I'm as healthy as I get. So my sore throat is just what it is, and it's also a consequence of I forget, and I promise myself each year I won't do it, and each year I find myself at 1 a.m. sat in someone's house this time of the year helping the coldest independents. I helped them last year, and I think because we helped them, they got over the line. We helped them the year before and they came very close, and I have no doubt that if we don't help them again this year, they'll just fall short. Of course, irrespective of me showing them my I don't know what that is, my charge sheet, my price, my menu of prices. So I showed Montaz and his mates my menu of prices last week. Do you know what he went and did? It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm not criticizing, I'm genuinely laughing because I thought he was gonna, I laughed my head off. Sunday afternoon, my mum phones me. Your Uncle Montaz came to visit. You are helping him, aren't you? Oh. Oh my. There's a reason why I'm not a politician, and there's also a reason why I'm not rich. So now I was there till 1:30 in the morning, working on some leaflets. But they've got some leaflets done now, and I think they've got 2 candidates to put up, and I think they're very close to securing the 3rd candidate. So I'm hoping they get over the line. I also had and David Nestor is here. David, I took David the best that the Co-op bakery had to offer. I went round to his house yesterday morning to meet with Paul from Oldham Heart, and Paul Taylor from Oldham Heart. And you know what? We had an absolutely brilliant meeting, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We had a brilliant meeting, and thank you to David Nestor for facilitating the meeting. And I'm really impressed with Paul Taylor's perspective of Oldham Heart and where it sees it will be effective and how it sees it will be effective, and his willingness. In fact, I didn't even have to negotiate with him. His willingness, his immediate willingness to work in partnership and work with collaboration with us, because Oldham Heart agree that first base is removing Labour Party politicians in this town and getting this council to no overall control. In fact, Paul reminded me of a lesson. First base wasn't really getting rid of Labour Party politicians. First base, the first win is getting people to vote. And I am pleased to confirm that I will be supporting Oldham Heart, and have already secured them at least 1 candidate in an area that has a democratic deficit, has no alternative option, and I'm pleased to be working with them. And in typical Asian style, David, I don't think you notice as much. You bring biscuits to eat and share, and you also bring better biscuits to leave with the guests. So I I left David and his family the better biscuits, and he messaged me to tell them how much better they actually were than the ones David, I and Paul shared. So that was yesterday, and I had to leave. I had to move the meeting earlier to David's house. I had to leave because I was in Glodick in the afternoon. I was at the Green Gate Mosque in the afternoon. There was my friend's mother passed away, so I parked my car on Greengate Street, walked down to the mosque. It was packed. The men's section, the main mosque was packed. I think they have a series of porter cabins. I've not been in that mosque in a long time. They have a series of porter cabins that was packed with women, and the imam's sermon was lovely. It was a lovely tribute to a lovely old woman who was treasured in the community, and whose family and the wider community clearly loved her dearly. So I went to Glodick, and like I've maintained all along to particularly those of you in the mainstream media who try and twist all of this, Glodick is just as much my home as Westwood and Coldhurst and Werneth and Coppice and all the other areas in this town, the same as Saddleworth, Clarksfield, Shaw, Chadderton. My home, and I have friends and family in all of these places. So I went to... Oh, well, we all go. It was a lovely funeral. It was genuinely a lovely funeral. And then, of course, I headed off to the joys of Montasville, the coldest way of doing elections. Oh, my God. Oh, my good God. Let's carry on. Please, if you find value in this work, please like, please share. And if you are yet to do so this month, please consider buying me a coffee, particularly if you don't subscribe to the channel or contribute in any way whatsoever. Let's get the iPad turned on. Bear with me. The Oldham Times, a couple of headlines this morning. One of them is this: Arts Council refuses to give details behind Coliseum funding snubs. Just who does Jack Fiffield think he is? Just who does he and his scroats think they are, who are at the Oldham Times? The council funded Pakistani rape gang protectors at the Oldham Times. The Arts Council did not refuse to give details behind Coliseum funding snub, because the Arts Council gave details. They gave details to the Coliseum in a very, very detailed letter, Jack. But you and your friends are very, very busy trying to twist this, aren't you? The Arts Council has refused to disclose the official detailed reasons behind its decision not to further fund the Coliseum. Well, I know of at least 3 other public bodies that do know the official reasons. Or 3 other public, the Coliseum know it. Oldham Coliseum Limited, do you see? This nonsense that the Oldham Coliseum Limited is a separate entity to the Coliseum, as in the council. And I'll get to that in a moment. You can see that. Applied for nearly £1.85 million of funding over the next 3 years, but has been forced to announce it will permanently close its doors at the end of the month after the Arts Council refused to give it further funding. Well, last time I looked, AMANDA CHADDERTON also refused to give it further funding. She stood up, didn't she, in a cabinet meeting last week and said it would be reckless. Instead, the Arts Council has given the same amount of money to Oldham Council, which owns the Coliseum building but does not own Oldham Coliseum Limited. Yeah, if you believe that, you believe anything. Oldham Coliseum Limited uses the building with permission from Oldham Council. The Arts Council confirmed that it is waiting for a proposal from Oldham Council as to how this money will be spent. And I think for the people of our town, that's where the fight is. We want to say on how that £1.85 million will be spent. The Arts Council refused to give further details for the funding snub, when asked under the Freedom of Information Act to do so by the Oldham Times, citing sections of the Act which means information can be refused if it has been provided in confidence and it is prejudicial to commercial interests. When asked for further clarification on the matter, the Arts Council blamed financial and governance issues with Oldham Coliseum Limited. So they give you reasons, didn't they, Jack? You little scrote of a man. Causing mischief in my town, helping cover up the gang rape of children falsely. That's what your newspaper does. It's not even a newspaper, is it? But I like using it. When asked for further clarifications of the matter, the Arts Council blamed financial and governance issues with Oldham Coliseum Limited for the funding stub, but refused to go into further detail. What further detail did you want, Jack? What further detail did you want? Saying this could discourage organisations from applying for funding in the future. Now, I apply for funds all the time and have done for the last 25, 30 years. And the Arts Council are right. They are correct. Because there are many bids I've got wrong. And the various organisations have written back to say, this is why, this is why, this is why. And if a malicious blogger, for instance, got hold of it, then it would completely destroy the organisations involved. No, it's not right. The Arts Council are right in doing what they've done because it's feedback is meant to be encouragement. It's private. And as a consequence of that feedback, we can improve future bids. Sorry, I've got to get rid of Mark Wilkinson. I don't think he quite understands. I'm on a transmission. Let me just message him. He's phoned me a couple of times, so let me just message him. Okay. Oldham Coliseum Limited has been facing financial and governance challenges for some time. So this isn't new, it's for some time. And as guardians of public money, we could not invest in an organisation which we assess to be such a high risk. So you've heard it from the horse's mouth from the Arts Council. Oldham Coliseum has been facing financial and governance challenges for some time, and as guardians of public money, we could not invest in an organisation which we assess to be at such high risk. The funding continues until the end of March, after which we've agreed additional support of nearly £360,000. So they've given them £360,000 further to wrap things up. £360,000, an astronomical amount of money, would you not agree? And separate to that, they've ring-fenced £1.85 million for the town, for the arts in the town. Now, no one is going to convince me, armed with these facts, that somehow the Arts Council is not investing in Oldham. Remember, the Arts Council has had money returned to it. Millions of pounds returned to it after millions of pounds were already wasted as a consequence of failed redevelopments of the Coliseum by the council. And as is stated here, there is nothing here that the Coliseum, the Arts Council, did not fund the Coliseum for no reasons to do with the building. Nothing to do with the building. They've not mentioned the building at all. Remember Amanda Chaddderton and Shahid Mushtaq and all of those councillors? Nothing here regarding this building. Arts Council England is absolutely committed to Oldham. The reason why they didn't fund the Coliseum is because it has been facing financial and governance challenges for some time. In black and white, absolutely nothing to do with the state of the building. So who are the liars? Who are the liars here? Who is misleading you? Who is the barefaced liar now? And of course, the Coliseum, Oldham Coliseum Limited, through its trade union, whatever it's called, Equity, is attempting to play all of you in the same way. The Oldham Coliseum Limited will not come out and share, information regarding the building. And Oldham Coliseum Limited, who have been given the response by the Arts Council, will not publish the response either. So why won't Oldham Coliseum Limited, of which 2 of the 6 trustees are senior Oldham councillors, Barbara Brownridge from Labour and Sam Al-Hamdani from the Lib Dems, why won't they share the correspondence? If there's nothing to hide, put it out there. I'll tell you why I believe they won't share it. They won't share it because it's humiliating. It shows an organisation in crisis, brought to its knees as a decision after decision after decision involving Amanda Chaddерton's Oldham Council. Let's get to some FOIs. I like how busy these FOIs are now, by the way. Maggie Hurley from the Royton Independent seems to be going for it. Oldham Council funding of the Coliseum. It's good. This is good. Oldham Council decision to abandon 135-year Coliseum Theatre. Safety of Oldham's children at the asbestos-riddled Oldham Coliseum. I like that title. Safety of Oldham's children at the asbestos-riddled Oldham Coliseum. Council funding over the last 12-year period. Jane Barker's involved. Old library conversion to council chambers and mayoral offices. Remember, I've been highlighting for some time now that the old library that they're spending millions and millions on isn't for you and isn't for me, that they've mothballed and they were meant to bring back to life for public use. They've decided to steal it from the people of the town, and it's going to become the council chambers and the mayoral offices. They have stolen it from the people of the town. They'll have no doubt the Capricorn bouncers stood outside, tens of millions of pounds spent, so they can have their lavish lunches and their after-meeting sherries. Relationship between Oldham Council and Oldham Coliseum. Funding of Oldham Coliseum by OMBC. Let's have a look at that. This is Ruth Adams. Remember, she went on a lesson with us. She'll have picked up from one of the past meetings, I think, and submitted some questions. Yes, she has. Please, can you provide the following information? Set out of questions in 5 set out questions. So, Oldham Council have confirmed the total amount of funding that Oldham Council provided the Coliseum, and I'll make this bigger for you so you can see it. The total amount of funding that OMBC has provided to Oldham Coliseum over the last 10 financial years, and remember, this is separate to the rent-free use of the building and separate to the storage that Oldham Council pays for to do with the Coliseum. So it's provided £1,698,438. So ballpark, I reckon, £2 million. Ballpark, the council has given the Coliseum £2 million of your money. And a year-by-year breakdown, £157,000 and then £149,000. So the total is there. You can see it there. £1.7 million, give or take there. Yeah. Interesting revelations. A copy of each of the funding bids made by Oldham Coliseum to OMBC over the last 10 financial years from 2012 to 2022. Remember, Oldham Council does not own the Coliseum, is the claim. Oldham Council does not own the Coliseum. Yet here we are, forced out of Oldham Council an acknowledgement that the grant that the council awarded the Coliseum to support the provision of a theatre offer in Oldham It is not based on a funding application. So they just wrote a check out. No service level agreements, no outputs, no outcomes, no monitoring, no evaluation. Year on year, they just wrote out a check that totaled nearly £2 million. Who believes them? They wrote a check out to themselves, didn't they? Because it's not a third party, it's not independent. Unless you believe that the council is so derelict with your money that they just handed over the best part of £2 million without no questions asked. No questions asked. The best part of £2 million. That's an admission. And furthermore, it's an admission that the Coliseum didn't even request any money from the council. A year-on-year breakdown of the funding that Oldham Coliseum requested from OMBC over the last 10 financial years. There are no other funding requests from the Coliseum held by the council. The Coliseum didn't even submit a form, didn't even invoice the council. And they expect us to believe that Oldham Coliseum Limited is a separate entity from the council. No questions asked, blank checks. Well, blank check's the wrong term. Oh, how much shall we fund them this year? Let's write a check out. Let's send it across. Do we need to ask for anything? Any receipts? What have they spent it on? What have they, any reports on impact? No. We'll just keep giving them money. No, we kept giving ourselves money. You took the people of the town for fools, didn't you? Dirty Harry Caffrell and your mates. Dr. Caroline Wilkins before you. You thought no one would come along and ask these types of questions. Well, you shouldn't have messed with us, should you? You shouldn't have messed with the people of this town. Because we're not the oiks you think we are. A copy of each of the end-of-year reports submitted by Oldham Coliseum. The Coliseum did not submit end-of-year reports to the council. £2 million, give or take, of your money, and you don't even know what it was spent on. And it was continued to be given to the Coliseum. Well, continued to be given to themselves by Amanda Chadderton and her mates. This is staggering. This is absolutely staggering. Let's have a look at another one. Oldham Council, DDA, and the current theatre building. Well, there's been a lot of confusing and contradictory information regarding the actual condition of the current Oldham Coliseum theatre building from both OMBC, Council and Mushtaq, the Coliseum itself, and local media outlets. In light of this confusion, please can you provide the following information? Just getting good at this, isn't you? They've not responded yet. Oh, dearie me. Oh, dearie me. One about asbestos in the Coliseum by David Stewart Cole. Brilliant. Let's see. No, not responded. Brilliant. After reports or claims by Oldham councillors that the Coliseum Theatre building is riddled with asbestos, can you please provide the records kept for the asbestos register as the duty holder? I would like the records of the remedial works carried out during refurbishment into it. Well done, David. Let's bring up Gary Tarbuck's OMBC policy on social media. In addition to the I Love Oldham Facebook page, it is clear that OMBC is pushing its agenda through a number of other social media platforms that it either runs and or has its employees holding admin or moderator roles. A copy of the relevant council policy that details the process through which the council approves establishing social media pages, who is responsible, how many social media pages does the OMBC run, and please list its pages and from what platforms. So they've got a social media policy attached. The communications team are responsible for approving OMBC social media pages and ensuring they adhere to social media policy. They don't say who the communications team is, how many people are in it, but they admit to having a communications team. It's lovely. I'll get to it in a second why. And they've put a link up to which of the pages they own. So let's have a look at the social media policy. These are the official guidelines, blah, blah, blah. The creation of all new social media channels to projects within Oldham Council must be approved by, yeah. They've got to be transparent, identify that you work for are connected to Oldham Council and you are clear about the role. So this is brilliant. We're going to have so much fun with this social media policy. But there's something I want one of you to look at. The communications team. Who is the communications team? How many people does Oldham Council employ in its communications team, directly or indirectly? Who does the highest paid person in the communications team report to in the council? How much money has been spent by the communications team over the last 12 months or the year before or the year before? Put something together. You'll have so much fun with the communications team. You'll have so much fun with the communications team. Oldham Council's banning members, the public, from council offices events. A copy of the appropriate policy through which it's approved this action. Yeah. No response. Sat there, no response. Now, they have 28 days to do this. So by the 28th of February, if the council hasn't answered this, you should be asking for an internal review, Lynn. David, morning David, you're here. You submitted something with reference, so it's about the malicious blogger. Howard Sykes admitted he referred himself to the IOC after the Information Officers Commission, yeah? Very focused FOI here, David. A copy of the internal report of the investigation conducted by OMBC. A full list of the recommendations. Very, very specific. Very tight. Let's see what the council did. Brilliant. You've asked for a copy of the internal report conducted by OMBC into breach of council regulations. A copy of the letter that referred to OMBC to the ICO. They reckon an exemption applies. It doesn't. Genuine belief or risk of harm or prejudice occurring, there isn't. In this instance, we will still provide information where it is in the public interest and lawful. Did that answer your question, David? I don't know why you've clicked successful. A copy of the internal report. Was the internal report provided? No, they've just given you gobbledygook. They've just given you gobbledygook and you've fallen for it. You've asked for a copy of the internal report. What you should do is respond to this and see if asked questions in a specific way and you want them to respond to your questions line by line. That's what you should do. This is an intentional tactic looking for you to try and to confuse you. The first question you've asked is a copy of the internal report of the investigation conducted by OMBC into Councillor Sykes' breach of council regulations. So they've not given you that. And they've not given you a copy of the letter that referred OMBC to the ICO. So question 1, 2 and 3 they've not answered. Were there any disciplinary actions taken by OMBC against council officers that leaked the data? The council admit that in such a serious breach that had the ICO involved, not a single council officer faced any disciplinary actions. The council confirm not a single council officer faced any disciplinary actions. So what is it that you have to do to face disciplinary actions? Where the council, the leader of the opposition himself has admitted to a serious breach of data. A full list of the recommendations that were agreed following the investigations, what responses were received from the ICO with regards to this matter, details of how the recommendations changes of OMBC's policies are monitored. The council received the following recommendations from the Information Commissioner's Office following the notification of the data breach. Ensure staff are aware of what types of information would be blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so they got a number of recommendations. And they won't answer the questions. They've not answered your questions, David. I would resubmit it. I'll do the follow-up there and say, I asked you these 7 questions. Can you put your answers or even your refusal of answers on a question-by-question basis because you cannot make sense of it. You're not meant to have some sort of complex degree to interpretate what the council's response are. The Freedom of Information laws are not for that. They're so that you can access information. You should follow this up with, I submitted an FOI, you've chosen not to answer some of them, and you've answered others of them in a gobbledygook sort of way. I would like these answers set out according to the questions that I submitted. That's what I would do there. You fell for that. Here's another one. Data breach by Councillor Sykes. Please update me on a breach made to a member of the public by the Lib Dem Councillor Howard Sykes. Has Councillor Sykes potentially defamatory material removed? That be the Willaboobies. Hello, Willaboobies. You watching, aren't you, Willaboobies? Watch what we do in the election, Willaboobies. Watch what we do to our old Shah, Willaboobies. I hear Willaboobies is enjoying himself because he's not been invited to the samosa parties at the council. So Seal is specifically asking, has Councillor Sykes been punished for his breach? And what is the connection with this man, Neil Wilby, with OMBC? Is he on the Oldham payroll? And at what cost to the taxpayer? She's asking 5 specific questions. Has Councillor Sykes been punished for his breach? And what is the connection with this Neil Wilby and OMBC? There has been no punishment in relation to this breach. So Howard Sykes has not been punished. And Oldham Council are refusing to confirm what their relationship is with Neil Wilby and how much they pay Neil Wilby. Buried here. It's confirmation from Oldham Council refusing to confirm how much, if and how much they pay the malicious blogger. They're failing to, it is our policy to only apply the exemptions where there is a genuine belief of risk of harm or prejudice occurring. There is no risk of harm or prejudice occurring for you to ask how your council tax money is being spent and whether it's being spent on funding a malicious blogger. No, there is not. And again, Sheila, I'm sorry. When you submit these FOIs, you should follow them up. You should follow them up. Is he on the OMBC payroll and at what cost to the council taxpayers to the people of Oldham? Neither of the names mentioned are employees of the council. Very important. Very important. They think they're clever. Jenny Harvey and her team think they're clever. Elizabeth Drogan and her team think they're clever. They're not that clever. Neither of these names mentioned are employees of the council. Sheila did not ask if Willoughby was an employee of the council. She wanted to know if the council had paid him, subcontracted work to him. And by this, I grow suspicious. By this response from the council, I grow extremely suspicious. And I would be following this up. If I was Sheila, and I know she's got other things going on in her life, and I hope she as well as can be. But if I was any of you genuinely interested in this, I would be following this up. Here is the council, Oldham Council, fudging the question, claiming, first of all, that it is not in the public interest to disclose information on the council's role with Neil Wilby. Unbelievable. It's not in the public interest. And here is Oldham Council also confirming or dodging or trying to manipulate the facts and saying Neil Wilby's name's mentioned, is not an employee of the council. Sheila never asked if he was an employee of the council. She wanted to know how much you were paying him. If you're finding value in these analyses, I now would follow this up. Please like, please share. This is outrageous. This is outrageous. This is an outrageous response. And who clicked the request was successful? Why? Who clicked the response, the request was successful? But that's not a successful request. What is it you people want? Do you want me to do it all for you? You've got a brain. Use it. Read it. Analyze it. If you can't, come back to me and I'll help you. Let's have a look at one of Jane Barker's ones whilst we're here. Old library conversion to council chamber and mayoral offices. Look what she's done. She's requested an internal review because the council have not responded. Who took the decision to use the old library for council facilities? Legitimate question. How much is the conversion costing and how is this being funded? Legitimate question. Provide a copy of the floor plan showing how much of the building will be used by the council and how much will be available for community and other uses. Did the decision receive any public scrutiny or discussion in full council meetings? I think you've got your answer, Julie, from the way Paul Bentwhistle and his team responded to that FOI response from Sheila. You've got your answer. They're saying it's not in the public interest of whether or not they've used your money to fund a man such as that. And then they try and twist it and manipulate you, and some of you might be manipulated, by saying, oh, we don't recognise these names as employees of the council. You never asked if they were employees of the council. You asked if the council were paying them. The council pay tens of millions of pounds outsourced to subcontractors and external organisations. They don't have to be employees. I think you've got your answer. And you've also got your answer by the absence of them not answering regarding the old library. They've just stolen it from you. They've stolen it from us. They're going to be having the mayoral lunches in there, funded by you, and drinking the sherries after the council meetings. Maybe they'll open up a mocktail bar in the lounge and a shisha bar on the rooftop. Who knows? The council might even have rooms that the guests of councillors can hire out by the hour, with cameras set up. Who knows? Who knows? I've got a day of work ahead of me. Thank you for joining me for a 45-minute or so. There's loads of these, by the way. I could go through these meticulously, one by one, but I don't have the time or the inclination. But if you have had a response, to your FOI, and you would like me to look at it and assist you in responding back, if you're unsatisfied, then by all means drop me a message. If you're one of my supporters, I'll more than happily assist you in that. This is a fight, people. If you come to the fight, you need to fight. You can't just throw a jab and go home and say that was it. If you're going to do this, you're going to have to double down and do this. And when they respond with bullshit, you've got to call them out. When they don't respond, you've got to remind them that the law says they have to respond. And when they do respond with information, where they've given you information they don't want to, such as the communications team, you submit more FOI saying, okay, who's the communications team? How many people are in it? How much does it cost in terms of employees? What's its budget for the year? We pin them down and we pin them down and then we pin them down some more. And they've never had anything like this because they've never been held to account this way. For those of you who are new to this, my name is Miah. These are Recusant 9 webinars, educational workshops around freedom of information requests. We'll do another round of freedom of information requests next week that you can use. But if you've got responses you're not happy with, or if you've not had responses at all, please go back on the webpage and please, whatever you do, just don't click your response was successful because they've written back to you. That's not a successful response. A successful response is whether or not they have answered your bloody questions. I'll see some of you on Thursday for the Independent Party Summit, We've got practically every legitimate independent party from across Oldham attending. It's gonna be epic. I'll feed back later in the week. As always, thank you very, very much. And if anyone does want to buy me a coffee this morning, it would be very much welcome. Take care.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.